everyone, and welcome back to another edition here at CJ Socials. We are here with some exciting topics today. We're going to be covering the return of football in Germany, as well as potential move for Neymar to Barcelona, as well as some Manchester United updates. So let's just get started with it. It's been an exciting couple of days with just some new headlines. And for those of you out there who are still in this self-isolation, I hope you're doing well and your families, you're keeping safe with your family. So let's just get started. So there's news now that the German league players are back in training, and football might be a lot sooner than expected. Obviously, there's no talks of fans being in the stadium. It's just going to be more of behind closed doors. So do you think this is too soon? Obviously, soccer fans are very excited to hear that there could be a potential of football back. So do you think this is too soon?
Yes, I personally have been on the side of just scrapping the leagues. To be honest, I just my only thing is I don't know how well Germany is doing in their handling of coronavirus compared to other countries. I thought they're doing a bit better. So if they can, then great. But I mean, my thing is like, who wants to play football without fans in the stadium? You know, like it's just not fun. It's not fun, and it's a huge advantage for away teams. Like if I was a home team, I'd be cheese.
Yeah. Well, there is no disadvantage or advantage because you're playing with no fans.
No,
So,
I just mean it. I just mean in the sense that, like, you know, when away teams come to town, you know, like you have like a stadium of 70,000 people, and 68,000 of those people are on your side, while like trying to put off the opposition. Like now you don't. Now that's taken away from the home team. So technically, it levels the playing field a bit more, which
yeah.
I see as more of an advantage to the away team. And it's like it's just not the same, you know.
Yeah, but it could also, you could look at it that it will bring out the best of the players because now there's no pressure of the fans. So with that, teams are more likely to challenge the likes of Munich, Leverkusen, Borussia, Dortmund, right? So, but you kind of made a good point there that the fans, reports are saying that the German fans are actually not happy with this decision because they feel it's basically a disrespect to society that the German league is looking to continue go ahead with football. So yeah, for me, I'm excited to just see a couple of players just kick the ball around,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we also have to be cognizant about people's health and
Yeah.
just but do you think this is going to put a lot of pressure on other leagues to kickstart their date as well because of what's going on in Germany?
Uh, I mean, yeah, you could kind of look at it as like a domino effect, really. Like once once one league does it, all the other leagues are going to be like, well, I mean, if they're doing it behind closed doors, we should be okay to do it behind closed doors at the very least. Um, like I said, I personally have just been in favor of scrapping the leagues, just more for the sake of people's health. Um, and I mean, you know, it will add to the anticipation, if anything, of like football next season.
Yeah.
But um, you know, if we can get football started up, then I won't complain about that either. But other leagues will definitely be taking note of how Germany are doing. The only thing is, a lot of other countries are a lot worse hit by coronavirus. So you know, you've got your lockdowns in England and Spain, and Germany might be handling it better, so they may be able to afford to start the league. So that's really my only concern of that as well, is how other
Yeah.
countries are actually doing. Like I don't know, for example, I don't know how it's going to work in like France, or like a lot of places are a lot worse hit on with the coronavirus, right?
Yeah. So yeah, because that's the whole thing, right? Is I was actually just talking to my sister who lives in Paris, and she said they're looking to ease off the restrictions around May 17th. The
Yeah.
question is, are they going to have enough supplies and masks for people to start going around in public by May 17th? So that's a struggle. And then if you look at the UK, they're not even at the peak of their curve yet. So,
Yeah.
we don't know how long that's going to be, but there's also talks about the Premier League players should be returning to training by end of May. So it's definitely going to be it's going to be interesting to see how that really plays out. I know the German government is actually waiting on the German league to see what their plan is in place to mitigate that risk. So that's going to be, but at the same time, do you feel that if, let's say, the German league starts and they finish the league, or because you even said that you're for scrapping the league, which is what a lot of fans are saying right now, is, you know what, let's just scrap the league or give the title to, whoever is on top now. I think it's Munich that's first in the league right now. Do you think that's fair? Because I know the Barcelona coach actually did say that he wouldn't want to be declared winners of La Liga.
Yeah.
Because he feels that was not deserved.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know the standings in Bayern Munich. Like, and the reason why I bring that point up is like, and it kills me to say this, it really does. But like, if you look at the English League, Premier League, Liverpool were 2 wins, I think it was, 6 points or something away from winning the league.
Yeah.
Now, said time and time again, I don't want them to win it. That's not why I'm in favor of. That's not the only reason why I'm in favor of scrapping the leagues. But if there was a team that was deserving of that, as an outcome, it would be them. I don't think that any other leagues are that blown out to the point where it's like, well, let's just give them the league. It shouldn't matter if you're on top of the league right now. If the season isn't finished, I don't think you should get the title. And then you also have to look at like how this is going to affect other competitions, like you've got the German Cup or whatever, Champions League. Like, how do you decide who wins that, or do you how do you decide who wins that? If you're going to give the league to, and like, what about the other competitions?
Yeah, but I think the league is so important, right? Because that dictates what the next season is going to look like. So in terms of the top 4 teams, depending on what league you're in, top 3 or top 4,
but
gets to make it to Champions League the next season. And then you have, you got to deal with the relegation teams as well, right? Do they stay in the league? So that's why the league is so crucial. I think, honestly, if you were to ask me, I would scrap the Champions League for the season, even though the UEFA president doesn't want to budge on that at all. But I would scrap Champions League and look for a way to just finish the leagues. Because you got to think about, now you're traveling across Europe for the Champions League. Paris has to play, in Turin. So going to Italy. So that's what we call that. That becomes that cross contamination. Versus all the leagues staying the same in their individual countries, and and just finish the league. So that's what I would say. I would say football, prioritize the leagues, domestic leagues, scrap Champions League.
Yeah, but you got to think, if you do that, there's always going to be some domino effect. Like, if you give someone the league, if they finish the league, if they can do it and they can do it safely, then fair enough. Give it, whoever wins the league wins the league. But if you're going to scrap the league, I don't think it's fair to give it to someone, because there's always going to be some kind of domino effect. Like, what do you say about the team that's like, 26 games through a 38 game season, and first and second is only decided by 1 point right now,
Yeah.
or 2 points, 3 points, or a close league. How do you justify it? Well, it's like, well, we still have 12. We still potentially had 12 games left to play. We could have caught them. They might have slipped up. There's going to be someone complaining. And then, like you said, there's also the thing of promotion relegation. If that happens, let's say, what about if there's a league that's, you know, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and maybe there's, you know, 3 points between all teams on and goal difference. How do you decide that? Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
that is an actual reality right now, but how do you decide that? And that is also why, like, I really think they should just scrap the leagues, because, like, whatever they decide to do here is going to set precedents for, if God forbid, if this happens in the future, if there's a similar situation that happens in the future, it's going to set precedents. And I just would like to ensure that the fairest option, well, ensure like there's anything I can do, I would like to see the fairest option be chosen.
Yeah.
I just think the
And
fairest and safest option is just to scrap
yeah, and that's why I
leagues.
feel, the fairest option would be
Yeah,
complete the leagues. That's the fairest
complete.
option. Because
Okay.
Champions League is, at the end of the day, the Champions League, yes, it is unfair for the teams that made it for the first time into Champions League. But what are the odds that the teams that made it for the first time to the Champions League are actually going to win, the tournament? Probably not. Yeah,
Yeah,
you could have upsets. Don't get me wrong, but for the most part, I would rather see the leagues completed so that way every team in Europe has actually gotten the chance to make it to the tournament next year, or gotten the chance to stay in the top division. So
yeah,
that would be my recommendation. I think that would be fair for the most part. I don't really see the whole scrapping the leagues and then, as much, I know we've talked about this, a number of times, as much as I don't want to see Liverpool, lift that trophy, but at the same time, I can't, look back in history and say Liverpool deserved to win the season, but
yeah,
that was taken away from them because of a virus. I
yeah,
think at the end of the day, I wouldn't feel, as a United fan, I just wouldn't feel comfortable enough moving forward. So to me, it's, it's a fair play. Liverpool's done great. Whatever team has done great. In Spain, it's a very close race between Barcelona and Real Madrid. Atletico has not really had the greatest season. So let's, give them a chance to see through. You never know. Real Madrid might come out on top, just depending on how the games work. So that would definitely be my recommendation on that. So
yeah,
yeah, just kind of, moving on from that topic. There's reports coming out from Spain with Neymar, has continued to be linked with Barcelona, right? I know there's a lot of talks now about Real Madrid and Barcelona looking to offload a couple of players just to be able to get the big name signings. And so how do you think this is really going to shape up for the transfer window? Because like you said, a couple of teams are not going to have enough cash to buy the players that they wanted to buy initially. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting window. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of money being spent. I don't think there's going to be any, transfer records being spent. I personally don't see Neymar back to Barcelona. Uh, I'm I would be surprised if they. No, I don't see it happening this season. Like, whatever the most recent transfer window coming up is, I don't see it happen. And that's mainly because of his price tag. Like, he went for 200 million to PSG. They're going to want to recoup some of that back, a lot of that back, and quite frankly, Barcelona, I don't I don't think
So
they can afford it.
okay, so So with the reports coming out, obviously the ex-president of Barcelona has said if he were still president, he would sign Neymar back.
Mhm.
Barcelona has come out. Reports are saying that Barcelona wants to offload certain players. Obviously, you have Rakitic, you have what's his name, Suarez. You know, you've got a few players that Barcelona is looking to. Umtiti, PK. You know, these guys are at that age whereby Barcelona wants to look to the future. So, do you feel that? I know, yes, you said they don't have the cash to get Neymar, but what if they did some type of exchange deal plus cash? Don't you see that being a viable option?
Uh, I mean, it would depend. They would have to make a very sweet deal. You know, they would have to they'd have to make a very, very sweet deal. Like, we want Messi, Griezmann, we want your whole front line, and you can have Neymar.
Yeah,
No, yeah, no matter who the president is, I don't really see it happening anytime soon, to be honest. I think it will happen eventually, but by that time, I think, because like, you got to think Neymar's 28 now. It's not going to
yeah,
happen this summer. Let's say, Sandro Rosell came back in, and he's thinking, I'm gonna make signing Neymar my priority. He's gonna be at the very least 29 by then,
yeah,
uh, going, and then if not older. At that point, I'm thinking, is it worth it? Is it even worth it for the money they would have to pay for him,
yeah.
bring him back? And would you want to let go of, because PSG, you know, they would play hardball. I think, unless there is some way where Neymar could force through a move. I think they play hardball. So I think you just got to think, like, would it even be worth it?
But yeah,
I mean,
so
what do you think?
but that's the thing, right? I feel would it be worth it? That's a whole nother question. Would it be worth it? But in terms of the possibility that Neymar could move this summer, I think it's a likely possibility because you also have to remember before the coronavirus, PSG was hurting for cash, right? They didn't get the return from Neymar that they had expected because they kept losing money from the Champions League. You have to do remember that because I think this is the first year that PSG's qualifying is going into the quarterfinals. So all that money they
They
thought they could have
they've
recouped,
they've been once before, and
they've been once before.
they've
Okay,
been before, yeah,
okay. So
with Ancelotti in
they
charge.
haven't really gone that far, right? So
Mm.
for them, they're at the point whereby they need to recoup some money, and then now we have the coronavirus that has hit, and so now PSG is one of those teams that is hurting for cash as well. So I feel if Neymar wants to force a move,
Mm-hmm.
PSG can't necessarily play hardball, even though I heard now that they're looking to potentially offer him 32 million pounds a year to stay, which is ridiculous. I don't know. You struggled to get this guy fit for how many seasons now? And then you're still going to splash, 32 million pounds a year for a player like that. I think that's ludicrous.
Mm.
But and if Barcelona also wants him, and there's talks that Messi really wants Neymar back, I don't know how true that is.
Heard that
Um,
too, yeah.
yeah, so I don't know. So I feel if the right factors are in place, so Messi and Barcelona really want Neymar. Neymar wants to move, and Barcelona is kind of hurting for cash. I could definitely see them doing a cash deal whereby even if you had like Luis Suarez go to PSG, right? Or you had Rakitic in that center of the
Yeah, but
midfield.
they already tried Rakitic, and Rakitic refused the deal. They already tried to offer Rakitic to PSG back when both parties could afford it, and PSG refused the deal. And sorry, Rakitic refused; he didn't want to go. And so my thing also is that, like, yeah, okay, PSG may be hurting for cash. So then let's break that down. You have Neymar, who you can sell for, obviously a nine-figure sum, and you may get a Barcelona player in return. great, but you're going to get an aging Barcelona player or a Barcelona player on the fringes probably. Still better than still first team quality for most
Yeah.
other teams. Don't get me wrong, but you know it's not going to be what they want, but they'll get their cash. Then also you've got to think Mbappe, because let's face it, he's going to go to Real Madrid at some point in his career, and I think very soon. So yeah, it may make 400 million in transfers. That's just a random number I'm throwing out there. They may make a ridiculous amount of money in transfers over the next 2 or 3 years, and they'll have their cash. But then who do they sign after that? Who do they sign where that's going to take them to the promised land of lifting the Champions League?
So one of their PSG's priorities right now is to focus on homegrown talent. Like we've talked about it, there's a lot of young, promising French players in Ligue 1. So if you can get those players now to start playing for PSG, that's one way in that they can get out of that situation. But you have to realize now, the way I'm looking at it is a lot of these teams, they're kind of being forced to make a decision because a lot of these players' contracts are up within a year or two. A lot of contracts are up in June, and then you have maybe, for the most part, I think Rakitic, his contract is almost up, right? You've got Dembele, who could go back to France. That could be a great signing. Dembele is loved in France, so that could be enough to sell those shirts, right? And
Yeah, but he
recoup
can't
that
stay
money
fit.
lost from Neymar.
Yeah, but Dembele can't stay fit like that. And if you're gonna pay, if I'm gonna pay 100 million for a player, or if I'm gonna say you can have our prized possession, we want this player in return, plus X amount of millions. I'm gonna want a player for the future that's gonna stay fit. Dembele for me is just too often operating table that criteria, which is a shame because
But
he
you, but you,
has.
but you never know though. Like I think Dembele, I don't think you should write him off too soon because look at what happened to Memphis Depay. He came to Manchester United too young, right? He was very young at the time. There was a lot of pressure on him.
But he
Ousmane
wasn't injury
Dembele
prone.
also came to Barcelona pretty young. So, yes, he can stay fit, but sometimes it could be a combination of the pressure. So, because you have to understand, when you have a lot of pressure on you, you make a lot of mistakes and you do end up with injuries. That typically happens a lot of times to professional athletes. So what if you went into a team like PSG, his home, he feels comfortable, it's a team of a size that he can actually show his talents. And at that point, maybe he might not get as injured, right? And maybe now he can start showing what he has again, that we know the kind of player that Dembele could be for the future because he's still pretty young. So that's a viable option. And if I were PSG, Neymar's contract expires, I think, in 2 years' time. So would you rather get some cash for him right now, plus get two? I think you could do two players. I think Barcelona could probably offer them two players that could change the dynamic of their squad. That's my reasoning on that.
Which two players?
I think
Which two
Dembele.
players do you offload from Barcelona to get Neymar back? Because my thinking is that they're gonna want to have that front three. I personally still think Suarez has got another.
Couple
I'll
of
give
years
it.
on him.
Yeah,
One or more.
I don't think Suarez is done yet. So
Yeah.
I think they'd be stupid to include him in that deal. They'd be stupid to include Griezmann in that deal because they just signed him and he wasn't cheap either.
Yeah, no, Griezmann is not going anywhere.
Yeah. So but then after that, which players do you give to PSG to sweeten that deal? I'm curious as to what you think.
Oh, there's a couple of options, right? Like you could get. It depends. I don't follow too much of PSG, right, to know where they need to strengthen. But it could be in the midfield, right? Rakitic, yeah, he might seem a bit old for Barcelona, but put him in PSG, and that's a slower league. So with that, he might end up being of value to them for the time being, right? Until they find somebody. And there's a lot of people in the French league that could come in and take that spot that Neymar already has, right? So it doesn't always have to be directly from Barcelona because, yes, they're still going to get money. It's not like they're just going to say, hey, Neymar, go to PSG and, call it a day. So I think if they got maybe someone defensive, because who are the defenders right now? They have, what's the guy's name? He starts with an M. I forget his name now. Then they also have Silva as well there too, the Brazilian, their captain. So he's old
You
as
talk
well.
about Marquinhos.
Marquinhos, yes. Marquinhos is young, but who do you have next to him? Silva is, I think he's like 30 something now, like 33.
Yeah.
Get Umtiti there. So now you have a solid defender that can help you out, right? That can work with Marquinhos. And then you get Ousmane Dembele, who is kind of like a player like Neymar. He's kind of fits that mold, right? And he's younger than Neymar. Then at that point, that Neymar headache is gone. That PR headache is completely gone, right?
Okay.
Because if you waited another season and maybe Neymar gets another injury, he's been like PSG's been lucky that he hasn't gotten injured this season yet, to the point whereby he still has a future in the Champions League. So what if that happens, next season? Then now you've wasted another opportunity whereby now Neymar is now 29 years old. Barcelona might start looking and saying, is it really worth the headache? And now you might even take a lower pay cut just to offload Neymar.
Okay. Interesting. I've also heard that Real Madrid might be in for Neymar as well. So like that, I mean, they're always sniffing around for the next Galactico, and they're a team that I think that Real Madrid have more players that they could offer PSG than Barcelona do. That PSG would actually accept, because like, let's face it, everyone's going to be strapped for cash this summer, and like we said, Neymar's not expensive. I think that Real Madrid, like, they have better players that they could offer PSG that kind of fit that mold. Like, I could see Gareth Bale going there and doing a job for a few seasons. Like, yeah, he's up there. He's another one that is injury prone. In that regard, I would probably.
Sorry,
that's the thing. That's the thing.
But you said Ousmane Dembele he's injury prone, but he's young. He's like what, 23 years old?
That's the thing. I was just going to say that. I was going to say like. I was just going to say that. Like, in that respect, I would rather take Ousmane Dembele because he's younger. Yeah. Having said that, I'm also on the side of, let's take Gareth Bale for 2 years instead of taking Ousmane Dembele for 5 and having Ousmane Dembele be on the operating table through half of those, 5 years. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and Gareth Bale's not the only option. Like, they've got what's that young Serbian player?
Is in there too. The Brazilian kid. He's not.
No, the Serbian kid. Luka Jovic.
Oh yeah.
Like, they signed him. He hasn't really worked out. I could maybe see him. The thing is, he doesn't necessarily really fit the role if they were trying to like do a straight replacement for Neymar. I don't see him being that. But again, he's young. He's still got a lot of career left ahead of him. So yeah, like, I mean, what do you think about Neymar to Madrid? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I don't know. I think that's good. That would be crazy. I don't know if Neymar will be able to walk the streets of Spain.
Hey, Luis Figo did it.
Luis Figo, exactly. It's gonna be Luis Figo all over again on that. But it's Neymar. He's got the personality the persona to be able to handle that kind of pressure, right? I don't know. Like, I feel that's where I think Real Madrid will be a better place for him just because he's no longer, because I think that was the problem when he was at Barcelona, was that he was in the shadow of Messi. So I feel like if he can now go to Real Madrid and become his own and now be able to create that mold of himself, right? Then that
Uh,
could be a viable option. I don't think him going back to Barcelona is a great idea. It's kind of like, it's like that chapter is gone. Why do you want to reinvent that wheel again? Whereby he's going to come to Barcelona, Messi is going to be the star of the show. And once
is he
again,
though?
Messi?
Yeah,
I
is
think
he?
Messi's still the star of the
Because
show. That's why Griezmann is struggling
Messi,
right now.
Messi is like, okay, so you're always going to be in Messi's shadow, like no matter who you are, unless you're Cristiano Ronaldo. But you also have to think Messi's getting older. Getting older. Neymar is, I think, 4 years younger than him. So yes, Messi will always be the big boss at Barcelona, probably even more than the actual boss. But Neymar would come in there and be like, listen, I've had my stint away. Messi, like, I'm going to learn from you, but at the same time, I'm also like in my prime and, you're not. So I think that would potentially be I think that would be a bit of an edge for Barcelona in that regard because he loves Barcelona, right? He
But
loves
where does he
Barcelona,
play?
so,
But where does he
huh?
play in Barcelona? Because you have Neymar. I'm trying to picture where he's going to play in Barcelona. Because you've got
Who,
Neymar.
Messi?
Yeah, no, not Messi. Neymar. So if he comes in, so you got Neymar, you've got Luis
Mm-hmm.
Suarez, you've got Griezmann, and you've got Messi. That's a lot. If they could make it work, that would be fantastic. That would be a slaughterhouse. You know what I mean? Nou Camp would just be that place you don't want to go because the goal would be not to get 3 goals, more than 3 goals scored against you, right? Because that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be crazy. But can you have all those people playing together? That's the question. But then in Real
Well, you could.
Madrid, you have Eden Hazard, who is, who plays on that same flank as Neymar. So now the question is, are those the does it make sense for him to go to Real Madrid? I don't know. He could, but then what happens to Eden Hazard at that point, right? And then if he goes to Barcelona, you have 5 superstars trying to be on the ball at the same time.
Well, I mean, I think Messi can play more of a like advanced midfield role. Like he doesn't necessarily have to be um, in that front line. He can play behind the front three. I just my thing is like you're gonna have Suarez down the middle. I think Griezmann and Neymar would be playing are both like they both prefer the left. So that would be my only thing, and which is why Dembele as well would have been so perfect if he could, because he can play the right, he can on the left, like
Yeah.
he's
But maybe
everywhere.
Messi might end up taking that. Remember when Rooney started getting a lot older and he started playing more of
That's
that attacking,
that's what
like the number
yeah, that's
eight.
what I'm saying. Like
Yeah, the
you
number eight
play him
role.
behind the front three. Yeah, that's the only way I can see it. I think he's already doing that right now anyway. So like
Yeah,
um yeah, but I mean yeah, it's tough. Regardless of whether he went to Barcelona or Real Madrid, I just don't see either of them happening this year. I don't
yeah,
see Neymar getting transferred this year. And then if it is next year, you've got to think about is it worth the money? Because yeah, he'll sell a lot of T-shirts, but is he going to win you silverware? He's going to be up there. He's
yeah.
going to be getting up there at some point by the time it happens. So if it happens,
Exactly, and I think that's why if anything was to happen, this would be a great time for it to happen because, like you said, Neymar, he's not getting any younger.
yeah.
There's a lot of talents out there that could definitely do the same job as Neymar, right? So, I don't know. I don't. I see it happening, but would I say that I would support the move? I wouldn't support the move, right? Because it's that glamorous, like you said, Galacticos, whereby a player is coming in but does it really fit what Real Madrid is trying to do right now, right? And vice versa.
I have also heard that like Real Madrid, they want to completely rebuild. This is like a rumor, but I've heard that they might be in for another rebuild because like some of the signings that Zidane made when he came back for the second time didn't necessarily work out, right? Like we said, we've got Luka Jovic. A lot of the players are getting old. Like Modric is like 100. You know, you've got Ramos is getting up there. He's not going anywhere, but like just an example, like that Real Madrid are going to be in for a rebuild at some point soon. I think another one because I just don't think some of their signings have worked out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's going to be, but are they looking to rebuild in terms of just get fresh players, or are they looking to rebuild like what Manchester United's philosophy is, whereby they're looking to get young talent? So if we're talking young talent, then I think Mbappe is a more likely candidate to go to Real Madrid
100%.
than Neymar
100%.
going to Real
That's
Madrid.
inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mbappe to Madrid, I think, is inevitable. It's going
that's definitely, yeah. It's funny because they had talked about Mbappe to Liverpool, and I just laughed when I read that. I was just like, yeah,
yeah.
it's not happening.
Yeah.
Not a chance would he go to Liverpool. Great team. I know he did say that Liverpool is a great team. He loves their style of play and things like that, but I just don't see it happening. I think, I just feel like Real Madrid is the place that he's going to be going to.
He couldn't handle the weather in Liverpool anyway. Couldn't handle the weather in England.
Exactly. So, but I don't know. Like, do you think there's a likelihood that Griezmann could be one of those players that could get offloaded? Well, it sounds like an attractive offer to PSG. He'll be back in France, right? Even though Spain is like basically right now for Griezmann, Spain is basically his home. You know, from reports that his wife loves it there, so it's going to be hard to convince him to move his family to France or wherever he might be going. So the real question is that a viable option that Griezmann could go to PSG? That'd be a fantastic swap.
Not this season. Maybe like if it does happen in the next, like the next two transfer windows, maybe. Not this season, unless there is some, strange clause in his contract. But I don't see it happening. I don't see Griezmann being part of any deal for Neymar this season. I don't see Neymar coming. I don't even see them entering negotiation.
Yeah.
I think Barcelona has just lost, well, everyone's just lost too much money. Even like the biggest, like the Real Madrid's, Barca's, Man United's, Neymar's just, Neymar's just too expensive. And so to have Griezmann going the other way, I just anytime soon.
It will be tough.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see how this all unfolds. But I think there's going to be a lot of players moving around this transfer window. It's going to be interesting.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a lot of money spent, but I think I read it somewhere that said something about like I think I forgot how many millions of dollars have been lost already.
I heard $1 billion is going to be wiped off of transfers completely, like £1 billion. So yeah, if that happens, that's 20% of that is your Neymar. Right?
So, and obviously, kind of other topics on sideline talks, right? And we're in the topic of the conversation of player swaps. Reports are coming out from Germany that Dortmund is potentially willing to let Sancho go on one condition, and that is a potential that there will be a swap with Mason Greenwood. Do you think that's, I know obviously it's just rumors, it's just reports, obviously, but what's the likelihood that's going to happen? And I think Mason Greenwood is a fantastic prospect for United for the future. Do you think it's worth the sacrifice to have him go
Nope.
to Dortmund and bring in Sancho? Not a chance.
Nope. Next question. Nope,
Not a
I do
chance.
not. I listen. Mason Greenwood is he's a homegrown talent, and he's come through the ranks at Manchester United, and that is more important, I think, than a lot of people realize. Um, I think while I would love Sancho to come, if it meant us giving up Greenwood, why would we honestly spend 100 million? Sorry. Yeah, why would we spend 100 million, which they're gonna ask for regardless, and give Greenwood, who is a good future prospect, when listen, I know they're probably not anywhere near in the same class, but like I would rather put the faith in Daniel James or sign a cheap alternative and keep Greenwood and develop him than give him up to Dortmund.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What do they need him for? They have Haaland anyway.
Okay, but think about it this way, right? The way I'm looking at it, obviously, I would rather have both Greenwood and Sancho at Manchester United at the same time. But look at it this way: Sancho left Man City to go get developed, right? Mason, he's actually had some playing time, not enough playing time. So what if I don't think it's going to be 120 million pounds plus Greenwood? I think that would be stupid on whoever's making that deal needs to
Obviously,
get fired. But what if it
yeah.
was like
But this
80 million pounds or 70 million pounds, and then Mason?
that's
But the catch is Mason gets to develop in Dortmund, because now he gets to play games. And now maybe since he's a homegrown talent, his heart is always going to be at United, and it could be another Pogba return, right? Then at that
uh
point, you have somebody who is now proven in another league. He's learned his trade somewhere else, and he can bring that skill back to United. That could be something that I would agree with that. Do you trust? Okay, do you
I could.
trust Greenwood to develop under Ole?
Yes, I do. I think Greenwood has done phenomenal this season. I think he's got like, I think he's, what is it, 12 goals or something? He's got this season, which is remarkable for someone his age. I've seen him play, just like his composure alone he shows on the ball, and like, don't get me wrong, Sancho as well, incredible.
Yeah,
I would love Sancho to come. But you have to also think any deal that would involve Greenwood potentially coming back would be probably difficult to convince Dortmund to do that, because they're giving up one of their prized assets, and I highly doubt they're going to have a buyback clause or whatever it is.
yeah,
I doubt they could afford to bring Sancho back. So then why would they then let Man United have that option?
yeah,
I wouldn't make that deal. And also, yes, there is the possibility that, okay, he might want to come back. But you've got to think, Sancho left Manchester City to get more game time and went to Dortmund. And now he's coming to Man United. How come he doesn't have that same loyalty to Man City that
but he
Greenwood
wasn't a Man
may
City boy though.
potentially have to Man United?
But didn't he grow up in Liverpool? He's a Liverpool boy.
Uh,
He's not a Manchester boy, so he doesn't really have those ties as
still,
Mason would.
still. Yeah, but still, even for me, like, let's say I was Jadon Sancho, and Manchester City were the club that developed me. Like, yes, okay, I may be from somewhere else, another part of England, but if Manchester City is the club that developed me, I'm still going to have some sort of loyalty to them in like the football world. So, and Jadon Sancho being a Liverpool boy, him still coming to Man United is controversial. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I would tend to go towards the side of keep Sancho if that was the case that they're saying you can only have him if we get Greenwood. I'd be like, you can keep him and let someone else sign him.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd rather just put the faith because we already have players that can, that can come in and fill that position, and maybe dip into the youth academy if need be to try and develop some more talent or sign a cheaper alternative. Because,
Yeah.
don't tell me that a team with the resources of Man United cannot find someone that can do a similar job.
A similar job, yeah. But
Yeah.
the one thing I would say is I think the Sancho move is a bit different because you got to look at Sancho's personality and his character. You can tell he's someone from a young age. Just reading about him, like he grew up from poverty and he was somebody who was always determined and was not scared to step outside the box like a lot of British players, right? Like how many British players do you hear of at 20 or 19 years old, decides to leave Man City to go practice his trade, in Germany? That's unheard of, right? So that already shows me the kind of person he is, that he's not trying to be loyal to whatever team. He's not a Steven Gerrard where it doesn't matter how much you offer him, he's going to stay at this club because, from the day he was born, he knew that he had to play for this. So I think Sancho was just more thinking about what's my career going to look like? What's the best possible option that I can team I could go to ensure that I go down in the history books, right? So that would basically be that would be my difference between Greenwood and Sancho. That's what I would say.
But then to flip that argument on its head, what is the likelihood that Greenwood? Because let's face it, you have to have all parties agree to make a move like that.
Yeah.
Greenwood is a type that is a more loyal player. What's the likelihood that he's going to agree to it? He's like, no, I want to stay at United and develop
There's
here
rumors
and
he just
try
broke
and
up with
make a
his
name for
girlfriend.
Really?
That's the
Yeah,
rumor. He
maybe
just broke up with his girlfriend, so maybe he's ready to move to Germany.
Wow. I mean, that'll do it. That'll do it. If anything, that's one thing that could do it.
But you never know, though. At that age, he could also be looking at it as, you know what, Sancho did that, and Sancho has now become, the world talent. And you can't deny the fact that Dortmund has become that Ajax, that everybody wants to, is a great place for the young talents to go, right? Moving Haaland, for example, he could leave next year if he really wanted to, just based on the clause of his contract, right? So I think that they've become that team which is weird though. I thought Dortmund used to be that team that used to compete at the top level, right? To see them going back
When they had
to,
Klopp.
sorry?
When they had Klopp.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. So it's a bit different now. It feels like they're just that team but I think the strategy was, from what I was reading a while ago, because Dortmund they were broke at some point. They were financially struggling, and I think that's when they resorted back to that homegrown youth academy and rebuilding that. And now, because I do remember there was an article that came out. The president, the head of Dortmund, actually did make a statement that was kind of controversial, where they were talking about the big teams helping the smaller teams during this crisis. And I think Dortmund's president was against that, saying, "Oh, those guys should have saved their money during good times, so why should we be bailing them out?" And it's funny because Dortmund had been in that same situation whereby, teams kind of bail them out too. So I think Dortmund had been in that situation whereby they were trying to regrow the financial part of the team. So maybe they're back in action. Maybe they're saying, we want to compete now. So screw you if you want to come and get Sancho from us, right? So, but yeah, I think that's definitely going to be a great, that's definitely going to be great. But yeah, so, but yeah, I think for the most part, I think for the most part, it would be interesting to see. I would be in the camp that Sancho should go. Sancho should just go. I mean, sorry, not Sancho. What's his name? Should go to Dortmund.
Greenwood?
Yeah, Greenwood to Dortmund.
Think
Yeah,
so?
I
Oh,
would.
man, fair enough. I don't see it making sense really from any angle. Like even if you think of it from an economic angle, the fact that we're going to spend, let's say we keep Greenwood and get Sancho, the fact that we're going to spend 100 million on him is, like I think I said this on like a previous one. It's like when you spend that type of money on a 20-year-old or on a young player, you're paying for their future. But there
Yeah,
really is no guarantee that they're going to stay for the duration of the time, that you're paying that 100 million for. So if you're then going to go and give up homegrown talent, uh, a homegrown and highly promising talent, and still give up, let's say 60 between 60 to 80 million, right?
yeah,
Does that really make sense? Like, I mean, for me
yeah. That
anyway,
is.
it doesn't make sense. Like, especially in the times that we're in now, like where it's like all the clubs are a bit struggling for cash. Like um, I don't think it's going to be a big transfer window. And yes, Man United are in a rebuilding phase, but if you're going to spend that amount of money, then I think you should just keep the homegrown talent anyway
Yeah,
and say, screw you, we'll give you the extra 20, 30 mil with keeping Greenwood. But,
yeah, yeah.
that's just my opinion.
And that's true though. You kind of got me thinking there because that could end up being like another Pogba
Mm.
saga, right? Whereby we let him go for free to Italy, and then
Yeah.
3 seasons later, we're paying 89 million pounds
World
for the
record
same
fees,
guy that
yeah.
we let go, and the same guy that we
Exactly.
developed, right? So I think
Exactly, yeah.
it could backfire with Mason as well, whereby we let Mason go on a trade deal, and then 3 seasons later, he'll be what? He'll be like what, 22 years old, and now we're looking to buy him back for maybe by that time players would be going for 150 million pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that would be that would that would actually hurt even more.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, that would actually hurt. But
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. But
Yeah.
I think going in, I think Manchester United is going to be at a very strong position financially. I was watching an interview with Ole and Gary Neville on Sky Sports, and it seems like he's basically saying not to take his not his exact words, but what he was trying to say was that we could take advantage of some teams financially,
Yeah.
especially in this time. So I guess we just have to leave it there and see where it goes.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I guess on the subject of leaving it there, I think we've gone over time a bit. Yeah, so thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back soon with another episode. Don't forget to click the subscribe and like button and tell your friends about us too.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it. That was a great conversation. Till next time, everyone stay safe,
Stay
and
safe.
we'll see you. Take care.